I had a situation happen where I was driving down a street in my neighborhood and came upon a wild green parrot that we have here in Los Angeles. Now, these parrots, there's several stories and rumors about how they came to be in LA because they are not indigenous to this area. Some of the stories are very interesting about how they believe that they came. But we have these very tropical parrots that thrive in Los Angeles. They live all over, and you hear them. They're loud, and they travel in large groups, and they're awesome. I always think that it's cool, especially because they're cool because they're parrots, and it's like kind of exotic, but also because they don't belong here. They came here domestically, were smuggled in and stuff, and then at some point were released and have thrived. And I started doing more research about that, but I used to always think there's only one type, but there's actually a couple. Strangely, the ones that we have here, they're the most dominant, are from, they're indigenous to an area in Mexico where they actually are endangered currently, and yet they live here thriving and are doing quite well. However, they're close to becoming extinct in the area that they're indigenous to, which I also find interesting. But driving down the street, in the middle of the road is this green parrot. Immediately I recognize it for what it is because I'm like, oh, that's one of those.
You're obsessed with them.
One of those tropical green parrots. And I pull into the breakdown lane, like the emergency lane, get out of my car.
Does Parrot look injured, disabled?
He's injured, yeah.
Okay.
And I get out of the car and go to the back seat and I grab a jacket. And it's Super Bowl Sunday, so there's a lot of traffic considering for a Sunday. There's a lot of traffic going in both directions. So a car comes pretty close to hitting me and hitting the parrot and kind of realizes what's going on, slows down. So I run into the street and I look and there's these two older ladies like kind of trying to do things but not really willing to venture out into the street. They see me and they're like, oh, thank God. And I realize they're trying to shoo away three of the biggest fucking hawks I have ever seen in my life that literally each of them are standing like maybe 3 feet tall. They could have been brown eagles. I'm not sure because I wasn't aware that they were there until I throw the jacket over the parrot and scoop it up. And then I start hearing this sound and I look and like 2 feet away from me, one of them is staring at me and is screaming this sound at me because I've essentially stolen their prey. And the women were like, yeah, they've been trying to get it and blah, 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 blah. So pick this thing up, get into the car.
Like a hero.
And I sit him on my lap, or her. I think it was him for whatever reason. And I kind of pull the jacket back just a bit because it's hot and like I'm covering him in a jacket and he's just had an episode. So
you both have, it sounds like.
So I kind of open it up just to stick his head out a little bit, and he like looks dead at me and is just letting out this like crazy squawk. He's like, walk, walk, and I'm like, I know. It's like we're cool. Like I gotta fucking figure out what the fuck I'm gonna do with you now.
Get you down the marina for the game.
And I have this like moment where I just like look down at him and he's like in all his glory, and they're beautiful. Like they're like lime iridescent green with like rainbow back. They're tropical fucking parrots, and he's looking at me and talking to me, and I drive down. I'm super close to the shop, and so I've got coffee in the car for the guys at the shop. I'm just going to the shop to say what's up before I head out to go watch the Super Bowl.
All you're doing is bringing coffee to friends, saving parrots.
I pull up at the shop. There's no parking. I flag down Jack, my boss, comes to the car, and I'm like, dude, I just had like crazy. I was like, of course. I was like, I just like rescued a parrot from the middle of the street. I was like, can you take the coffee and then I'm going to park and then I'll walk the guy in, but I can't do everything at once. I've got the dogs with me too. Dogs are like
what the
tripping
fuck?
out. And I'm just going, and I have this like, I'm filled with some sort of deep
Paternal love.
kind of love for this thing very quickly. And in my head, I have to say that I'm like, he probably can't fly. And I was like, I'm probably going to, maybe I'll just keep him.
Take him home.
And I'm like, in my head, I
makes
think
perfect
I'm
sense.
sort of moving forward in my,
with your lives together.
my fantasy about, the fact that I'm going to own this parrot.
Now
and
live with
he and
this
I have this weird
paralyzed
connection.
parrot.
And I pull into, the parking space, and he kind of looks up at me and he lets out this other squawk, this different type of squawk, and then just fucking dies in my arms. And I feel the life kind of draw out of him. Like he just stops feeling the same way that he felt like before. Like, and I walk him inside to the shop, and I'm like, I look at Jack and I'm like, I think he just died in my hands. I'm pretty sure. And I get him outside, and I'm kind of like trying to see if he's alive. His eyes are still open. His body's just gone limp. This dude's in there, and he's like, you can give Parrot CPR. And I'm like,
All right.
on my phone.
Has anybody at any point called, I don't know, a professional, I don't know, even a pet store? I don't know. Has anybody called?
Who do you call?
I don't know.
And say what?
I think I have a dead parrot here.
I mean,
This fucking stoner's telling me to give it CPR. Tell him that that's wrong.
I'm looking up on YouTube. I'm looking up Parrot CPR
Jesus.
videos, and I'm seeing people like show me how to do this, and I'm like, all right, like he's dead. I kind of lay him out, and I look, and he's got some sort of puncture wound in his side. So the Hawks the Eagles or the Hawks or whatever, they had hit him in the air, driven him down to the ground, and they were going to finish business. So he died in my arms.
It's insane.
I photograph him.
Okay.
Because he's beautiful.
Yeah.
And
for a moment was yours.
Mine. And then I'm like, I have to go. Like, I gotta get on with my life here. And I got a Super Bowl to watch, for God's sake. So I find a little box for him.
This is completely insane.
I find a little box for him, and I kind of bag him up and put him in the box. And I close the box up, and then I write on the box. I just write on the box, dead parrot. And
Parrot, Larroquette.
Dead Parrot, Larroquette,
DPL.
R.I.P. And I go and I walk up the street and I find a trash can because there's no dirt in the back of the shop or whatever.
Okay.
And so I put him in the trash can in this box. And I get in my car and I go to a supermarket where I buy some deli sides for the house, some coleslaw and stuff to bring to the Super Bowl. And I'm texting with somebody and I tell them what's just happened. And this person, when I tell them, they were like, "Oh, what did you do with him?" And I was like, "Oh, I just put him in a box and then I put him in the garbage." And they were like, "No." And I'm like, "Please don't do this to me." And they were like, "But you just put him in the trash." And I was like, "I didn't know what else to do." Like, blah, 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 blah. Cut to, I'm on my way to the freeway and it's been like an hour since I've put him in the garbage. I fucking make a U-turn and I drive back to the fucking trash can and I pull over and I get out and I go and I pull him out of the trash. Since leaving him, somebody has discarded a half-eaten acai bowl and just like dumped it on it. So there's just like melted acai granola
There's
like,
your friend
all over the box.
Sweet burial.
Pull the box out of the trash.
I mean, he's tropical. I mean, he knows acai. Great.
And so I put him in the car and I drive to the Super Bowl all the way across town.
Minneapolis.
By my
drive to U.S. Bank Stadium. Bury him in the ice.
So I
give him a Viking funeral.
Well, that's what I did. I went to my parents' house out by the beach, have him in the car, just leave him in the car in the box, watch the Super Bowl, do all this stuff, and at the end of the night, it's time for me to go.
Dude, you are fucking insane.
I'm like, I have to do something with this.
My friend.
No, I hadn't forgotten about him. The whole time I'm like, what am I gonna do with him? So
God, he would have loved that play.
I drive, I leave my parents. I'm like, I'll see you guys later. I drive down the street, I park, and I take them out, and I'm like walking down the jetty in the marina, and it's pitch black, and I'm like in a jacket, it's cold, and like all these like couples and like drunk people from watching the Super Bowl are like, walking around, and every single one of them, I'm walking with this like box in my hand, like
with a
just
Sharpie
by
written
myself.
on it that says "Dead Parrot Larroquette."
And like every single person I walk up to is like, "Hi, hey, what's up? Good night,
Hey.
like good evening." Like,
Did you see the box? Did you see what's written on the box?
so I get out as far down the jetty as I possibly can,
Yeah.
and I chuck him out into the ocean in his box, and the tide was going out at the time, and so I watched until I could no longer see him in the light,
Like sands
in
through
the
hourglass.
moonlight, floating out. Hopefully, got to open waters, and
Ashes to ashes, and
then I was like, yeah. I don't know. I don't have an entirely clear explanation as to what compels me to do certain things, but I also know that there are instances in which those choices are made that I definitely like. The idea of what I did afterwards is one thing. The fact that what happened never happens to anybody else either. Like, I guess some people maybe have driven and seen a parrot that they almost ran over and just went around it and kept on with their day. But like nobody runs into the parrot in the first place.
I know, I'm with you.
Everything that unfolds afterwards is my own insanity.
12 hours later
but
at
in
the
order
beach.
to deal with that, one has to deal with why is it that this stuff happens to me perpetually? Like I'm not out
You're
there.
not pulling the strings here. Could be something bigger than us. The energy sent you. That parrot needed you, and you needed that parrot.
He was real cute. Not a spring chicken, I don't think. I think he was
He lived
maybe
a good life.
maybe a little bit older. But this just, I mean, I'm doing it, and in my mind, I'm just like, how many times have I done?
This is another.
How many times have I done something like this? Like, I remember, I mean, it's so many animals
Dogs
I've driven out to
Yeah.
rescues or to.
So many movies we missed because you had to pull over and help a dog. You know we have a 2 p.m. time here at the ArcLight. You know it's 1:45. Give me 1 second.
So anyway,
Hey,
it's my parrot,
you're a good man.
Parrot Larroquette.